Hi, Sheila.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello?
Can you try to speak again, Sheila? We just...
I think something is wrong. Can I get out and come back again?
Okay, yes, thank you. We will be waiting for you.
Yeah.
Hi again, Sheila. Could you please try unmuting yourself and turning on your video?
Yeah. Hi, Sheila. Can you try to open your video and mic?
Can you hear us, Sheila?
Yes, I'm here, but I've joined as an attendee. Is that a problem?
It's not.
Okay. So I'm in now.
Sheila, could you please speak again?
Good morning. This is Sheila. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I could hear you, but I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, we could hear you. We're just trying to figure out some logistical things here, Sheila. But on your end,
Fine.
thank you.
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Sheila, could you please say something again?
I can hear a lot of echo in the sound at the moment. Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you. We will just start. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. Morning. Welcome to this session, Voice for Climate Action, Championing Effective, Inclusive, and Equitable Community-Based Solutions. Also, I want to say hello and thank you to our online participants that is connected at the Teams. We're so glad to have all of you here this morning. Today we'll be learning together many things about community-based climate action from our wonderful speakers and moderator. The session is being streamed online through the UNFCCC YouTube channel as well. Without further ado, I will introduce you to our wonderful moderator, Professor Amran. Professor Amran Hamzah is a professor in Tourism Planning and Director, Center for Innovative Planning and Development, University Technology Malaysia, Skudai, Johor, Malaysia. He is notable for his role in championing community-based climate action, especially on tourism, since the 1980s. Previously, he is the GEF Small Grants Program National Steering Committee member, and also the former head of the Tourism Planning Research Group in Malaysia. He has led numerous studies commissioned by the Ministry of Tourism, APEC, British Council, IRDA, and other government agencies related to community-based tourism. Professor Amran is committed to play role in community-based tourism due to his respect for the desire of preservance of rural communities in striving for economics, progress without sacrificing their community values and lifestyle. So I will welcome Professor Amran to the stage to lead our discussion today.
Thank you, Gia. Assalamualaikum. Selamat pagi and very good morning to all of you participants. And I'm very honored and privileged to be to the organizers for having me, inviting me to moderate this, I think, very important and also close to my heart session on Voices for Climate Change, championing effective, inclusive, and equitable community-based solutions and societies. As the Gia has introduced, this is a subject matter that's very close to my heart. I've been involved in community-based tourism in synergy with conservation for years, and to see this track being given, the full respect, I think I must congratulate the organizers. So how this session is going to be run is that it's a 90-minute session, and we are starting at 11:38, so it's a bit later than what we planned, but we will finish about 8 minutes past 1. That's the plan. And let me start by giving you a quick background of this track. And I think all of you here must be very committed to community-based climate change, and societies around the world are also experiencing, these challenges, for example, in terms of threatened food security, livelihoods, peace, and well-being. And there are many vulnerable communities. Sometimes they are being considered, sometimes they are being marginalized in the action against to mitigate climate change. And there are also multiple examples of success stories, and I think that's why we are here, and also online to listen to share these experiences. These are the innovative examples of community-based climate change actions in the Asia Pacific, and especially to look at from the perspectives, from the needs and capacities of communities on the ground, which will require the multi-stakeholder collaboration between all stakeholders, be it governments, civil societies, local actors, and international partners. I think there's a very good data given to me that only 10% of the finance budget given to climate finance is being given to local level climate change. So I think there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of this allocation. And why this is so? Because community-based climate actions can contribute to either the sub-regional or national climate change policies and targets. And we have seen that at the national level, there are lots of already international levels, high-level policies. How do we cascade it down? How do we integrate local levels actions? Is also very crucial so that we can achieve an integrated approach. So with that in mind, the objectives of this session is, I should read this, it aims to amplify the voices, highlight best practices, collaborative approaches, opportunities, challenges, and lessons to be learned and to be shared, to develop broad societal support for community-based climate actions. So the ensuing discussions will hope to explore recommendations and inputs in the region, in the Asia Pacific region, and also for global policy makers and negotiators, as to how we can better integrate and support community-based climate change actions at all levels, national, international, regional, and also it is expected, this session is expected to come up with recommendations in the decision-making process to strengthen the participatory and inclusive governance as well as financing. So that is what we aim to do in this next 1.5 hours. I thank you for your interest and your participation. So we will have an opportunity for you to also contribute towards the end of this session. But let us start So let me, by just briefing you on how this session will be run. So there will be one keynote presentation I will invite after this, the keynote presentation. And there will be panelists who will be sitting here, and what is called the, let me see, there's a special name for that. Okay, talk show and discussion. Okay, so let me now invite all the panelists today, including the keynote presenters, up on the stage, and I will briefly introduce them, and we can start off afterwards, after that, with the keynote presentation. So let me invite Dr. Wahyu Marjaka, please, on the stage, followed by Ibu Tri Widayati, and Mrs. Shindi Soge, and Ms. Ritini Teng, Mrs. Ritini Teng, and Mr. Asami Segundo, and finally Mrs. Sheila Patel. So this is your distinguished panelists. Welcome to this session. Let me introduce the first presentation, the keynote presentation first, which will be given by Dr. Wahyu Marjaka, who is now the Director of Sectoral and Regional Resource Mobilization at the Indonesia Ministry of Environment and Forestry. Dr. Wahyu, briefly I would just read his biodata. He is the Director of Sectoral and Regional Mobilization, and since 2018, and he was the Indonesia's lead negotiator for technology, mechanism, and capacity building to the conference UNCCC. He is Indonesia's focal point for resource mobilization for means of implementation at the national level, including regional collaboration, climate, finance, and capacity building. And he has a master's and doctoral degree from Tokyo Institute of Technology, Bioengineering. So I would like now to invite Dr. Wahyu to present his keynote, please.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, colleagues, and ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Asia Pacific Climate Week. Today, 16 November 2023, and I'm pleased to present my perspective representing from Indonesian government, especially from my ministry, regarding the climate action that we already and develop in the future. With the strengthening community level climate change, especially in adaptation and mitigation action. We have developed some program, we call it a PROCLIM, Program Kampung Iklim in the Indonesian language. This is actually climate village program that we can introduce to, from Indonesia to ASEAN member state, and also hopefully we can develop into Asia Pacific country. Let me start with next, please. Yes, my presentation will be structured into 3 points. The first one is climate change and commitment of Indonesia, and the second one, community-based climate action in Indonesia. And later, our team here will introduce in more detail regarding this action, and in detail how to mobilize the local people to engage in the program. And the third one is ASEAN community-based climate action. This is, we can spread out our experience and perspective to ASEAN member states. Next, please. I will start with the commitment of Indonesian President after Indonesia ratified the Paris Agreement in 2015. Indonesian President, His Excellency Joko Widodo, pledging Indonesia's commitment in the Paris Agreement, and then followed by the ratification and sign the agreement by the minister, Siti Nurbaya in New York, and ratification of the Paris Agreement, we call it Law Number 16, 2016. And from the ratification process, we developed some document and submission who represent the commitment of Indonesia. The first one is the first NDC, we submitted in November 2016, and followed by the NDC roadmap and also LTS LCCR document. And last year, we again raised ambition in the document, we call it Enhanced Nationally Determined and Contribution. And in Glasgow, Bapak Presiden, President Joko Widodo again placed the rising commitment and interferes using the carbon, for example, to make a rise ambition from Indonesia. Let's today we don't talk about the carbon, but we try to introduce you in the local climate action. Next, please. As we understand that this is one of the commitment of Indonesia. The first in the document NDC, the first NDC, we have the commitment to reduce carbon dioxide emission by 29% from business as usual to become 31.89% in the recent year in the document of enhanced NDC from unconditional mitigation scenario. And also we try to engage and encourage the people and international society to collaborate with us in increasing the ambition from 41% from business as a conditional mitigation scenario to become 43.2% with the collaboration. This is very important for us because we have some gap regarding mobilization of the resource, especially in financial. Let's see in the how to implement it and how to respond to the gap in the climate action. Next, please. So in climate change adaptation, Indonesia actually try to reduce risk, enhance adaptive capacity, and strengthen resilience and reduce vulnerability to climate change on all development sector, especially in the local people, local districts. And this program actually focus on the three areas of resilience. In Indonesia, first one, economic resilience. Indonesia integrate climate change adaptation into agriculture in the local level. And the second one, social and livelihood resilience, while we try to reduce vulnerability through improved capacity on social and livelihood. And the third one is the ecosystem and landscape resilience. We try to implement it in all aspects, enhance engagement of local and adat community. Adat is the specific terminology in Indonesia. And in social, forestry, and development processes on the ground. And of course, by focusing on three pillars of resiliency, we prioritize into several fields like food, water, energy, health, and ecosystem. Next, please. While we preparing the policy in the adaptation, we also consider actually the decision from the assessment of the 6th assessment report, working group 2, impact and adaptation of vulnerability. We call it climate change action. And this reference actually we use in Indonesia, how to manage the adaptation and mitigation, how to reduce impact and risk, and also how to reduce greenhouse gas emission in all aspects on the ground. This is used to avoid mounting losses. Urgent action is required to adapt to climate change. And we also understand that at the same time, it is essential to make rapid and deep cut in greenhouse gas emission using a approachment of policy of mitigation by reducing GHG emission. Next, please. So not only assessment report from IPCC, we also refer to decision 1 CP21 UNFCCC, and also combine and integrate it in the national policy on law number 16 to 2016. The para is para 133 and para 164, that the para indicated that Indonesia welcome to effort all non-party stakeholders on the ground. This is very important. We encourage all stakeholders, and we call introducing and the specific designing program, we call it PROCLIM. And Indonesia translate all reference the mandate of Paris Agreement and to national non-party stakeholder and national context through climate village program. We call it Program Kampung Iklim. And this program actually assess adaptation through 3 aspects. The first one, adaptation needs. The second one, measuring adaptation. And the third, assessing effectiveness on adaptation. Next, please. Here, the community-based climate action at the site level we design, and you will see soon the detailing from our colleagues here. There are 2 efforts that we prepare. The first is reducing greenhouse gas emission. The second one, increasing resilience or reducing risk, impact, and vulnerability. This PROCLIM, we call it. And this also strengthened by the voice of the Bapak Presiden. All the potential of communities must be mobilized. Indonesia has engaged its communities to mitigate climate change through climate village program, which cover the target should be finished and should be achieved by 20,000 villages by 2024. Next, please. Next, please. Yes, this is some figures that on the ground, the people and community, the other stakeholders also engaged. Many kind of picture we can see, and also colleagues will explain about that. And PROCLIM, community climate village, community-based climate action is actually to try to recognize the active participation of local community in implementing action on mitigation and adaptation. So it means PROCLIM is a joint adaptation and mitigation action on the ground. Next, please. Next, please. Yes, PROCLIM, using this program, we encourage and bridging the stakeholder communication and collaboration at all levels, from the national level, district level, until the local level, through climate change action at the site level. This is a stakeholder, the main stakeholder in Indonesia. We are bridging from media, government, community, university, and private sector using a specific approach in the site level. Next, please. This is the figure of the widespread of PROCLIM program in Indonesia, from the western part to eastern part of Indonesia. And actually, this program was launched in 2012 and transformed into national movement since 2016. And also in 2021, we achieved PROCLIM already established in many places. And we try to achieve also by years 2024 by 20,000 village program. Next, please. So, from our experience in Indonesia, we try to bring this issue and voices to ASEAN member states, actually. There is some notification that we also achieve in the ASEAN member state. The first, that ASEAN member state, we understand that consists everything, a diverse member state, and almost all is located in the regional with a very vulnerable area regarding the impact of climate change. And there's still many gaps among the country, ASEAN member state, and we lack of vulnerable data. And of course, ASEAN also have developed and commit to broader the commitment on this program. Actually, it's not proclaim actually the program name, but the concept itself introduced to ASEAN member state. And the one proposed activities that should be implemented in ASEAN member state is exchange experience and lesson learned on local community-based climate action. This concept actually already endorsed by the ASEAN member state with the title ASEAN Community-Based Climate Action. And this is one step forward from ASEAN member state to go to the wider spread in the Asia Pacific. Hopefully, this forum will support ASEAN member states to introduce this local approachment regarding responding to climate impact on adaptation program. Next, please. This is the concept that already endorsed in the ASEAN member state. The objective is to develop a management system, and the second one, encourage non-party stakeholder participation among the ASEAN member states. The milestone of the concept is this year, we already introduced from July to now, we have an inception list of review and data collection among the ASEAN member states, and from July to October, interim stakeholder, and also from October until now reporting how to develop action and strategic plan on CCA in ASEAN. This concept supporting by supporter or partners among the ASEAN member states. Next, please. Thank you very much. This is some information that we present, and hopefully we can get the support from all us of here, and we discussing how to going forward next. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wahyu. That's a very comprehensive overview of the efforts by the Ministry of Environment and Forestry Indonesia in terms of trying to cascade down the high-level policies on climate change adaptation and mitigation to the local level. And I think we would like to know more afterwards during the Q&A sessions on the success and also the challenges in trying to deliver ProClean with the target of trying to empower 20 villages by 2024, which is not too far away from now. So we would like to hear more insights. And I hope we can get that from the panelists, especially Dr. Wahyu. So now let me go into the second phase of this, or stage of this session, where we will have what is called a talk show and discussion. So we have 4 panelists here, but 1 joining us online. Let me briefly introduce who they are, and then we can kickstart the talk show session. So we have Ibu Tri Widayanti, who is the technical team in the technical team of Climate Community Program, ProClean Indonesia. I think she's perfect person to be answering your questions afterwards on ProClean. She is very experienced, has been in the former negotiator for the UNFCCC, and she is also very much involved in various programs at the ASEAN Working Group for Climate Change and Climate Community Programs. And second, we have Mrs. Shindy Soge, please. She is a climate youth champion. So we have a very grassroots representative here from East Flores in Indonesia. She is a local champion, has written here, and her everyday, work is she is an honorary teacher. She's also a farmer and lives the life of in a rural area of Indonesia, but she's very active in voicing and amplifying the issues on climate change, especially in the food sector within a community. And she has been very active in campaigns, especially on trying to encourage more food diversity as a solution to face climate change, and also in mobilizing young people within her community and within Indonesia. And the next panelist is Mrs. Ritini Teng, who is the Director of Policy and Program Development for the Wildlife Conservation Society, WCS, based in Cambodia. And she works for WCF Cambodia's conservation programs, and currently responsible for developing, coordinating, and implementing WCS Cambodia's landscape target strategies, also very much involved in sustainable financing, RED Plus initiatives, and also she's very much involved in the community development projects under WCS for Cambodia. And the next panelist is Mrs. Asami Sagunto. Please. She is from the Philippines, and she is currently the communications officer of the Indigenous Peoples Advocacy for GSF at Teteba, the Philippines, and a member of the GST Southeast Asia Hub. And she belongs to the Kalanguya, Ikalahan indigenous community, and she represents her community, and she's very much involved in as a focal person on carbon financing of the Kalahan Educational Foundation, KEF, among others. And she's also very well connected with the International Land Coalition, providing technical assistance to local communities. We have the final panelist, who is not here today, but she is joining us online. Is it true? Yes. And she is Mrs. Sheila Patel, who is the Race to Resilience Ambassador and founder, director of SPARC in India. And she's also one of the founders of Slum Dwellers International, which is a network of community-based organizations in 33 countries spanning Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Caribbean, working closely with the National Slum Dwellers Federation and Mahila Milan, again working with local communities, especially those disadvantaged communities. So we have a very wonderful list of panelists. So let us start. I hope we are we still are on track in terms of time. So there are 3 sections for this talk show. So the first one, the topic that we are going to talk about is sharing best practices and concrete examples of community-based climate actions and solutions at the Asia-Pacific level that are responsive to the local situations as the results of co-creation processes which incorporate local values and contexts. So that is the first segment. And we are going to start with Ibu Wida. May I ask you to respond? Because we have many panelists, we don't have much time, so I would appreciate if you can limit your answers to be succinct as possible, but within, let's say, 2 minutes per question, which will be posed to you. And the first one is, based on your experience with the Climate Community Program, could you share some lessons learned from the ground, especially from villages that received awards? They have received awards and part of the incentive mechanism from the government of Indonesia. Please.
Okay, thank you. I would like to try to answer the question.
Sure.
First of all, I would like to mention that negotiation language of climate change in the global level actually should be translated into simple, easy to understand, and show concrete adaptation and mitigation action that possible to implement by the community in the local level. During the past several years after the adoption of Paris Agreement, we have been discussed a lot intensively about some important issues such as NDC, LTS, GGA, GST, transparency framework, and other terminology that hard to understand by our stakeholder in the local level. So we also identify that community in the village level actually do not really aware that some good practices have been implemented locally and actually beneficial to strengthen climate change adaptation and mitigation, even though sometimes they are still facing difficulties to differentiate between adaptation and mitigation action. So climate community program or proclaim implemented in Indonesia has been facilitating increased community knowledge and awareness, as well as encourage all related NPS, non-party stakeholder, to participate actively in building resilience and adopting low greenhouse gases emission lifestyle in the local level. Village receive award play important role in providing example on how comprehensive adaptation and mitigation action could be developed and implemented, and also show direct, indirect benefit for the community. Here I would like to show quickly the increase of number of proclaim location from year by year. So we can see that the trend is always increase, and now actually we already have around 6,400 location in Indonesia. This is already registered in our system. We call it as a national registry system for climate change. So and the second, please. As Pak Wahyu already mentioned, that a proclaim consists of three important components: adaptation, mitigation, and also the community, institution, and also sustainable support. So this is, we register all of these activities in our registration system. So this is that we could share. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Wida. I think especially the slides really show what they are doing from the ministry level, taking it down to the local level. And the proclaim is very well organized, very well structured. Can we go now to Shindy? You are working on the ground, right, in your community, in Flores itself. And you, my question to you is, can you please share the situation in your community in East Flores, and what kinds of initiatives your group or your community and yourself, probably as a leader, that you are developing in terms of the community, the co-creation of processes to for community-based climate actions on the ground, please.
Okay, my name is Maria Monesoge. You could call me Cindy. I'm from East Flores, Indonesia, and from Lamaholo tribe. I'm an honorary teacher at high school and also a farmer. Climate change in my village, Hewa, characterized by unpredictable rainfall, impact water and availability for agriculture activity. Of the 17 exciting weather spring, 2 were droughts, and the remaining 15 experiences a decrease in weather disgrace. This causes crop failures, which leads to economic crisis and social conflict. For instance, in the drought season, people fight for the weather. Villages rely on this weather spring for household consumption and agriculture activities. Due to the weather discrust being low while they have to plow their rice field, they fight each other over the weather. They accuse each other to cheating to take their turn irrigate the field, even there are almost a murder because the weather standard case. Not only in recent years there has been high rainfall intensity, but the number of rain days is short, causing flooding in other villages in the coastal area of East Flores. Starting for a desire to protect and care for the earth, as well as a sense of belonging to my hometown. I was determined to voice the impact of climate change felt by the community. I was determined to voice the impact of climate change felt by the community. We are looking for a solution to overcome this, introducing local food and our culture to make it known to the general public. We are from a community called Wetan Hewa Leworotan, with young people in this village to plan, process, and sell local food, campaign for it to the surrounding community. For instance, we make sorghum cookies, sorghum flour, cassava chips, banana chips, sweet potato chips, corn chips, etc. We are aware that local food diversity is one solution for facing climate change. It reduces the carbon emission in the process, but it also a form of adaptation to climate change. Apart from that, we also try to protect our hometown by planting red shoots around the village and planting bamboo around rivers and springs to conserve water and reduce conflicts over weather due to drought. Increasing community reliance through local resources is very important. Diverse local food can help community face climate change by increasing distress or extreme weather change. Having access to variety of local food can be defense in maintaining community food ability. Local food can grow and adapt to local climate and environmental condition. Biodiversity that has adapted to the local climate is usually more resilient to climate change. By maintaining local food production, communities can reduce dependence on imported food and maintain access to food resources in the face of uncertain climate change. Not only with youth groups, we collaboration with women groups, civil society organizations, and religion institutions as well. We believe with strong collaboration and network, we can grow together and more people will realize the importance of local food diversity in facing climate change. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. I like the term local champion. I use it a lot, and I'm sure there are many local champions from your community. So thanks for sharing what you are doing, especially in terms of trying to ensure food security and climate change. So let us move from Indonesia now to the Philippines. And thank you for your beautiful photographs at the back. where we would like to invite Asami to share. I think you've been working for your indigenous community, Kalanguya Ikalahan, for many years. So what are you doing in terms of these community-based climate change actions, please?
Yes, thank you, sir, for giving me this space to share our story in the Philippines. So I am from the Kalahan Educational Foundation, an indigenous peoples organization that is managing our ancestral land or the indigenous territory in the Philippines. And this month, we're going to be turning 50 years. So we have been doing this for 50 years already. And our community initiatives were not just that effective in our level, but that the national government of the Philippines also recognized the importance of indigenous communities and the vital role of indigenous communities and local communities in climate change, climate action, and in forest management. So Kalahan Educational Foundation was organized 50 years ago, and this organization lobbied for the recognition of land rights of our community, even though there were no laws to protect indigenous peoples during that time. And because of the effective lobbying of our elders back then, the government recognized that we are the rightful owners of our land. And when that land security was given to us, we started to partner with many organizations to help us in managing our lands together with our indigenous knowledge, and also welcoming scientific technology on how to effectively manage our land. So what we've been doing is that we have community-based initiative of land use mapping. The community agreed with one another to designate a land or to delineate a land that is specifically for conservation. Some of the elders had to give up their land because they know that conservation is very much effective, and this will help the whole community in our water, as well as our air, as well as our food. So there was a land use delineation of forest protection. We also delineated the parts of our ancestral land to become a forest production area, wherein it's where we plant trees for production. It's where we do our traditional farming, and it is also where we gather fruits, where we process and make it into jams and jellies. And with the help of our CSO partners, we were able to market these jams and jellies. Long before there was this talk about biodiversity-friendly enterprises, we have been doing that already. And there have been several indigenous peoples organizations and CSOs that would come to our community to learn, like, what have you been doing for the past years, and how can we replicate it in our land? Right now, the indigenous youth are also taking action into getting to know what has been done in the past 50 years, so that we too can continue the legacy that our elders have begun. 50 years is a lot of time, and a lot of generations within that 50 years has come and go. And there's a challenge within our generation to really get to know what has been done by our community, and at the same time, like, I apply it in our current generation, and how do we continue and become more innovative, given that we have education now, given that we have technology now. How are we going to continue and to stand up? And at the same time, we have climate change now. Before, the typhoons in the Philippines are not that strong, but now when you say typhoon in the Philippines, like, you really have to brace yourselves. You really have to make sure that your house is secured. So those are the challenges that we are facing right now. Currently also, we are working with our provincial government in incorporating indigenous knowledge in DRR, or disaster risk reduction and management. In the Philippines, we have indigenous peoples mandatory representative in our legislative, in our local legislative body, and one of our elder is the current provincial IPMR, and he is really pushing that the provincial government recognize the indigenous knowledge in applying DRR in our province. We're also hoping to legislate we are hoping that a bill for the declaration and recognition of indigenous and community conservation areas, we're hoping that it will be signed in our province soon, so that the conservation areas that we declared among ourselves in the community will also be recognized in the provincial level, so that the government agencies who are working with us would also recognize it in their maps, that these areas are conservation areas of the indigenous peoples, and hence we should respect it. So that's the broad picture of what we've been doing in my community, and thank you so much for this time to share it.
Thank you. And I think probably to me the key message here is that once you have land security, you can do many things, right? And I think that's one of the obstacles that we need to address in terms of empowering the community-based climate change. So we now, thank you for your sharing. We move to Cambodia. We have Ritini, who is working for WCS Cambodia. So my question to you is how does WCS Cambodia promote multi-stakeholders? So again, I go back to my question. So for Ritini, from the CSO viewpoint, could you please share what you are doing as part of the WCS work in Cambodia, which is, I believe it is called Kyo Selma project. Can you please just give a snapshot of what you're doing for these projects, especially to involve the local communities in Cambodia, please?
Yeah, thank you. That is, thank you for get me here for provide you some of the our lesson learned or sharing our projects that we are implementing in Cambodia. So actually, our project is we start the reducing emission from the deforestation and forest degradation, or we call in the short REDD Plus. So I hope that everyone knows about the REDD Plus. It's starting in 2010, and in collaboration with Ministry of the Agriculture, Fishery, and Forestry, and later on with the Ministry of the Environment. I show the map here, so you might know the location of the project. It is in the eastern landscape of the Cambodia, and the project is covering around 170,000 hectares just for the REDD Plus project. You can see the set area. Those are the project area. Yeah, and the project is important for economically, culturally, and spiritual for many local community and that live in and around the project area. And also the project is the home to many species in like wildlife or endangered species. We have like more than 80 endangered species in that area. Yeah, in starting out the project, we have involved 20 villages. We have been discussed and consult with all the local community who impacting from the REDD Plus implement project. So we have like a kind of extensive consultation, a long consultation for like since 2010, 2014, in order to have like a consent from the local community. Or we can say that probably the first epic in Cambodia that we have been implemented. And our consultation is not only inform the community, but we involve community in the decision making and this kind of participatory process. And we finally, after we have been discussed and consult with the community, and the project get validated in 2014, and now the project have been implemented for 13 years already. We have complete our fourth verification of the RED Plus, and we also able to sell the carbon credit. And we can say it's one of the success project. And with the strong support from the local communities, and as well as the government and local authority, the project has been, that is because it validated with the VCS standard and CCB standard, and we also with the biodiversity goal. So in terms of the project, we also support the community on their land right and also the natural resource protection. So we have established like support to get the communal land title for indigenous community, like 7 indigenous land title. And also we support a kind of community protected area, like a right, provide right to the community in order to manage natural resources. So, and so far, up to 2021, we can generate like 19 million credit and reduce the reduce emission or reduce deforestation of 25,000 hectares is compared to the baseline scenario. Yeah, just short brief of the project.
Thank you. It's very impressive achievement. Let us go now to the final panelist for this segment, but she is joining us online. Sheila, are you with us? Sheila Patel. And the question... Yeah. Could you please share with us the activities that you are organizing, your organization, the SPARC, the Society for the Promotion of Area Resource Centers in Asia Pacific, in terms of this subject matter, please.
Thank you very much. I have been very deeply inspired by all the speakers who have spoken before me, and I congratulate them and I admire their commitment, and I hope that we all have an opportunity to share the amazing insights that we all have. I want to start off by saying that I want to also apologize for a confusion. I was told that this meeting required me to be there from 9 a.m. my time to 10 a.m., which is now coming up very soon. So I will speak quickly on the things I want to say, and I will request my colleagues, I think Dorman is sitting in the audience, Aarti and Smriti are on the net. So if there are any questions from the audience or any contributions that can be made further, we are a team together. So let me start by saying that I am a grassroots activist working on urban issues, specifically dealing with urban informality for the last 40 years. My commitment to this process emerges from the fact that poor people who migrate into cities for survival require to be acknowledged as people who have chosen to come into cities because their rural lives and livelihoods had to be abandoned because they couldn't feed them, they couldn't clothe them, they couldn't send them to school. Now, in the climate change space, we have a further dilemma, which is that development and climate for all the communities that we discussed here today are combined. Yet from the UN down to the communities, we separate development investment from climate investment. And in the lives of very poor people, we have to produce a formulation where development investment and knowledge and science and technology related to climate have to be combined. The recent stocktake globally and at different locations have given us terrible news both about the SDGs and about our global outcomes on climate. And this burden is going to face mostly by very poor communities who don't have resources. So my first request is we put mitigation, adaptation, and the challenges of losses and damages on a continuum that have to be addressed not only by global and national institutions, but by the central participation of the most vulnerable communities, because they must be treated as stakeholders who represent 2 billion people globally and a very large volume of people in the Asia-Pacific region who don't have a voice, who don't have adequate resources, and whom the state believes it is doing things for, but our data doesn't show otherwise. So my organization, both locally, nationally, and globally, as Slum Dwellers International, and in India as SDI, we reach out to form strong women-driven local communities that network at city, national, and global level. In Indonesia, which has now become one of my favorite countries since I have been there more recently, we have a collaboration called Voices for Climate Action, in which a range of local, national, and global institutions work together to find solutions that start with what community women see as their biggest challenges. So whether it is in Jakarta, or it is in Yogyakarta, or it is in any other part of Indonesia, Philippines, Cambodia, all countries in which STI functions, is to start with what women need. To start with collecting data that poor women collect so that they understand the aggregation of their own challenges, and they begin to identify the things that they can do themselves, that their network and their city needs to do, and work that is required by national governments and international organizations. Until and unless adaptation and resilience building is not seen as the central mechanism to cope with the uncertainties of weather, we will continue to have poor people face the terrible consequences of unnatural weather patterns that we have still not been able to routinize knowledge and insights about, or to address both mitigation and adaptation mechanisms to deal with. And therefore, we seek ways by which urban and local communities living in every country work together and build that capacity. And in Jakarta, we have started this with one of the most vulnerable locations in Penjaringan, and I think Dorman is there from Speak Indonesia in the audience who can talk about this. We have Aarti from HIVOS who's on the net, and my colleague Smriti who's also there. So I urge all of you, as your representative in the Race to Resilience, as a grassroots activist, to create constant engagement for communities, government institutions, professionals, NGOs, and private sector to work together. This is our collective crisis, and every individual who can make good quality choices for adaptation is our hero. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sheila. And I think the panelists have all done very well. In a very short space of time, you have shared, even though in the form of snapshots of what you are doing. I think on the ground you are doing excellent work, outstanding work, and I don't think that we can do justice to what you're doing on the ground, but at least we know now what are being done in Indonesia, Cambodia, the Philippines. So let me go into the second segment. We are done with the first segment. We wanted to know what these initiatives are at the local level in different parts of the Asia Pacific. So the second segment is about collaboration, involvement of local community, affected community, and vulnerable groups in the decision-making process, identification of platform and multi-stakeholder processes for community-based climate change. So I'm not going to ask every one of the panelists. We don't have the luxury of time to go through one by one, but let me just focus on a few panelists, and then we can have the rest go into the third segment. But I would like to know from both Dr. Wahyu and maybe in collaboration with Ibu Wida, because you're both working on the same Proclaim project, when you are trying to empower the local communities and the processes, the decision-making process, which is the second segment is all about, have you considered the traditional or so-called native decision-making structures? The adat I saw when you said that. How do you try to respect the decision-making, structures and use them, leverage on this to be able to, cascade down the higher policy levels? You said earlier that awareness is key, that you have at the beginning there was very little awareness of what you are trying to do, and how do you try to achieve, increased awareness, but at the same time recognizing local power structures. Please.
Well, thank you very much. This is very important and interesting question, actually. Well, we, Indonesia, developed the program. First, the strategy, we have to understand in detail the local people. We have to hear their voice first. And after that, we give the right to improve by themselves independently. And the most important thing, how we can communicate with them and give them the directive in a proper way, especially in how the people can adapt and resilient by themselves. And after that, we accommodate the voice of them to become the main indicator how we can improve the program, Proclaim specific site on the ground, using their voice and also implementing the right of the people itself. It's very important, actually. This concept we try to implement in different specific sites, and Bu Wida will explain about that. Thank you.
Yeah. In addition to what Pak Wahyu already mentioned, let me show some picture, please, for the third presentation. Yeah, basically, we implement Proclaim as Pak already mentioned, Pak Wahyu also, that it is a multi-stakeholder and multi-level cooperation. So Proclaim is designed and implemented to get data and information, climate data and information from the ground level, and also from all of the data collected, we could know what is the gaps and needs that the community facing to enhance the resilience and also adopt the climate, the low greenhouse gas lifestyle. So can we move to the third? Yeah, the third. Yeah. Well, here some example how Proclaim can facilitate the multi-level and multi-stakeholder cooperation. We can see that all of the locations that already receive award from the government, they are providing good example on how climate change action could be implemented by the community. And usually the local champion from the location that receive award, they also act as the agent of change to disseminate good practices from Proclaim location to the other, to replicate the activities. And also here the government also give award not only to the community but also to the local government. So both in the province and subnational, sub-district, to the kabupaten kota or subnational level. So with this recognition, it is actually encourage all of related stakeholders to contribute for climate change action. And also here, this example of how our Ministry of Environment and Forestry give award to the company, to the local leaders, and also to the support to the company that support the implementation of Proclaim. So with this comprehensive recognition, we can also, other than get related data of climate action, we also provide recognition to all stakeholders. Thank you.
Thank you both. Let me move on to still in segment 2, which is the collaborative decision-making process. Asami, I may be wrong, but many years ago when I visited one of the so-called community forestry or ancestral domain, I'm not so sure what is the exact word, so please correct me if I'm wrong, that once such kind of ancestral domains have been recognized with the land rights, as you said, so you could govern it, manage it yourselves, and then incorporate climate change mitigation adaptations. But upon success, there was also the interest, the government wanted to declare it as a national park, so they will be the one, managing it instead of you. Is that something that has happened before? So how do you try to balance, this? You want to work with the authorities, follow the national policies, and yet you also want to empower. Can you please share this kind of very maybe difficult, challenge?
Yes, yes, Professor. It is indeed a challenge, and there is actually an ongoing discussion now, because a few months ago there was a launching of the 30 by 30 in the Philippines, and one of our partner NGOs showed how there is a conflict of management when it comes to ancestral waters, because there are several marine protected areas that are declared are actually falls within the ancestral waters of many indigenous peoples in the Philippines. Also, several protected areas or parks are declared that are under also the claims of indigenous peoples, and there is an ongoing discussion about it, like what are we going to do and how are we going to settle these disputes when it comes to land rights and management, or should I say even water rights and management. And we on the side of CSOs and indigenous peoples organizations, we've been really pushing that the way how we count our accomplishments should not be on the declaration of parks, but also include the recognition of indigenous peoples' land rights and water rights, and at the same time their right to manage their own land. And I would say that it is indeed, like what you said, a challenge, and we've been pushing and advocating for ourselves for the recognition of our right to manage our own land. And I wouldn't say that there is already a solution, but I would say that it's an ongoing discussion.
Thank you for being very frank and candid in your answer. So we have to move on to the third segment, and I think the second and the third, they are related. So in the interest of time, I have to condense these two. And the third, the segment is under recommendations. So this is the guidelines given to me, how to translate lessons learned from the ground to the higher decision-making process at sub-national, national and regional, and also what are policies that can strengthen commitments to inclusive decision-making and responsive to the local needs with regards to community-based climate change, and how to support collective progress to strengthen social inclusion, cultivate collaboration in policy, and financing processes to support community-based climate change. Can I turn to Ritini? Yeah. So your project under WCS Cambodia, on RED Plus and many more, and trying to address also climate change challenges. How are you trying to address the inclusive benefit, especially benefit sharing? Do you put that in place first before you can, proceed with the other agenda? So, can you please,
thank you. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier regarding the RED Plus project, we are working with Ministry of Environment currently, and then we have successful of the selling the carbon credit. So the revenues that we receive from the sale of the carbon credit, it comes down to the project management, and as well as the government for strengthen the implementation of the project. And some part of the revenue is also directly distributed to the local communities in order to support or improve the development of the local community as well as their livelihood. All the activities that have been raised, or those activities is based on their priorities, activities, and the priority need in their local level. So those benefit it distribute to the community in all the 20 target village. So in each village, it has different activities that they would like to address according to their priority. You see it different, but more mainly the communities that propose activity is like a kind of road improvement in their village and the small infrastructures, especially related to the water, because there are a need to access to clean waters in the local communities, and education, health, and also a kind of the livelihood development. So far, we have been distributed this fund to the local community, around 1 million already distribution, and then we aiming to distribute next year is around another 800,000 to those 20 village. So in every step, as I mentioned earlier, we engage community and other stakeholders. Is mostly is in a consultation process in every step. So it's need to have different opinion and then get their consent. So we also the benefit, the fund is also giving to the local NGO to support others activity, including rights of indigenous people to natural resource and land, especially on the communal land title, indigenous, we call indigenous communal land title, and others livelihood activities, also direct to the government partner and local authority that support the management of the natural resources, including the law enforcement, in order to reduce the pressure from the deforestation. Yeah.
Thank you for the elaboration. Can we go to Shindy now? So you showed in your slides very nice photographs, all the new crops that you are trying to plant to adapt to climate change, and you have a lot of traditional knowledge, and you are trying to use it, especially in the context of food security, to prevent the threat from climate change. So I see that you have a lot of things to offer for your community, but are your recommendations, received by the national government? And are you happy with it? Sorry, they are here with you. Are you happy that the policies at the national central government whether they have or have not incorporated your own wishes, your traditional knowledge? It is your, community. You are the leader. Can you be very honest and frank about this, please?
Okay, what we can learn from this process is that if stakeholders have political will to have an inclusive process, you could do it. We grassroots communities are willing to help, give advice to other stakeholders to solve the barriers for us to be able to voice out our concern. We need a safe forum where we could tell them our concern in the global forum. We need support from a translator. Also, the youth group is the one who will live longer in the future. So we also ask from climate funding to support youth-led initiative. I ask for all of you trust us to give us the opportunity to grow our movement, implement our community-based climate action, and test our approach and solution for a climate resilient future. It is must to take broader collaboration action with young people and marginal groups. Existing program and policies will be in fine if they only focus on increasing the production of certain commodities, thus engineering existing diversity and local culture. Policies must support farmers, women, disabilities group, indigenous community, and young people in village to strengthen food security amidst the threat of climate change. This group is often not reorganized, their voices are not heard, or are even seen as an important actor. Multi-stakeholder platform needs to give space for us to share our concern and development climate solution that area responsive to local needs. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Cindy. So we have the last panelist who is not with us, but with us online. I haven't forgotten about you, Sheila. So the question for you is, what are the recommendations for supporting collective progress to strengthen social inclusion and collaboration in policy and finance processes to support community-based climate change actions for the region, for the regional and global stakeholders, since you have extended your network even to Indonesia. Please, Sheila, are you still with us? No, she's not. So anybody from who is representing? Yes, you are there. You can just give. You are from the same organization as Sheila.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor. Distinguished guests, let me introduce my name. I am Dormanda Pitu from Speak Indonesia, partners of the SDI and Spark from India, Bu Sela partners. So I strive forward to your question. What the recommendation for our part about the how to collaborate actions can be engaged to the global and regional? Let me explain our experience. Like Buxela mentioned, we are as the part of the Voices for Just Climate Actions work in through area in Jakarta and Yogyakarta. Women partnership and women participation is very important in this program and also in this approach. So based on this, we need to make sure that women voices in climate action to be engaged and to be addressed strongly in the government policy. And also right now, as we know about the, when we talk about the climate actions, so we also talk about the climate financing. So this is need to be clear how to engage and also how to facilitate that women planning and women participation in terms of the financing, climate financing to the women group. It could be delivered accountable, transparent, and also can use this financing, climate financing easily. I think this is need collaboration between all parties, include the government. In Indonesia, based on our experience in Jakarta and also in Yogyakarta, right now our Women Federation members engage and advocate the government and also other stakeholders to deliver their funds to support the Women Federation activities, like in solid waste management and also in health system and also like in the urban farming. So this is the women or locally shaped agenda that can collaborate with other parties. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think that is the last view from our panelists. We still have several minutes because we started 8 minutes late, so I'm going to give you another extra 8 minutes. I hope the organizers wouldn't mind before you go for lunch. So we still have the opportunity for you to ask questions, make comments. I can only limit to 3 maybe. So 1, I saw the hands, 2, 3. So please be brief.
First of all, thank you so much for this great panel. It is very well balanced with talking about, REDD+ and forestry. Thank you so much for moderating. Also, we have youth here, so this is a very well organized panel, and I want to thank you for that. It's also very inspiring. I want to point out that both Indonesia and the Philippines are among the top countries that are the most dangerous to be environmental activists. And while we have here your honor from the Ministry of the Environment and Forestry from Indonesia, my question is, how do you assure that indigenous people in your country are being secured, especially when they work with government to secure customary rights to their lands, and after achieving success in that, they're being criminalized and persecuted, especially in northern Sumatra, and this is when the private sector comes into place. So I know this is a hard question, but this is something on the back end that is not being addressed at this Climate Week. And we need to make sure that this is at the top of the conversation because environmental activists are being criminalized and assassinated. Thank you.
Can you please give your name and who you represent, please?
I am Laura Fernandez, and I am a civil society member. I am from Colombia, Colombia is the most dangerous country in the world to be an environmental activist.
Thank you for your question. Any takers? Especially this question was addressed to Dr.
Well, thank you very much for the important and question regarding how we treat the people, how we accommodate, and how we encourage to collaborate. Of course, in many parts of Indonesia, there are some conflict, of course. This is right now we are concerned about how to solve the problem in the local side, like North Sumatra, for example. I heard that there's some social conflicting after some investment go into the detail and go into the site, and they spread out the investment and the activities, the production using. In that case, of course, there are some conflicting. As a government, we try to herd both sides, not only from the investor, but also dominantly we heard the voice of them and also the hurt of the heart in the local side, of course. And we try to put them in the same position with us, so we have the communication with them in order to resolve the situation and the hotter issue in the side, of course. It is a hard effort for Indonesian government. Of course, we need a time to solve the situation in order we can run and collaborate together in the same level size. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope we answered your question. Second, please, your name and who you represent.
Thank you. My name is Novi Adi. I'm from Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, Indonesia. And I have questions to representatives from the Philippines and, if time allows, from the Cambodia. It regards the involvement of the local community or the leaders. How is the involvement of local community and probably their leaders? I mean, is it through like a legal process, like local election or something like that? Or it depends on the goodwill of the leaders of local government? Yeah, because if relies on only the goodwill of the local governments, if the government changes and the leaders may not have goodwill to involve the local community, so it may not sustain for the involvement in the decision making in the area. So we don't have that kind of legal, procedure yet of the involvement of the local community to this local decision making. And the second is still related. What aspect of the governance that where this local community or their leaders can involve in the decision making? Economic aspect, like or is limited to the coastal management aspect or the marine spatial planning aspect? So is there kind of the limitation or something like that? So, thank you very much.
Thank you for your questions. Please.
Thank you, sir, for that question. I would like, before I answer that question, I would like to allow the people to know that I'll be answering from my context, which is in the northern Philippines, and that what I would be sharing would not reflect the whole of the Philippine experience. So yeah, in 2010, the National Commission on Indigenous Peoples wrote a policy of having indigenous peoples mandatory representatives on the legislation boards of the local level, the municipality level, the village level, and even in the provincial level. But the implementation only happened like a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago. In my province, in my community, what happened is that the elders came together and elect among themselves who will be the ones who will be taking that spot, because there's only one spot in per village. Another, and in municipal level there's only one seat again, and in provincial level there's one seat again. So what the NCIP did is that they gathered the elders, they talked among themselves, and then they all agreed who among them and what are the agendas that they will be pushing whenever that someone that they've chosen is already in the legislative seat. So that's what happened, and there's a lot of politics actually, because what you're actually entering into is politics. But thankfully, because the elders, the way how our elders implement our indigenous knowledge and also our indigenous justice system is still very much alive in my community, and that is what is prevailing, and that is what somehow keeps the politics from spilling over to the elder and the community side. On your on your second question, is that because they are the IPMRs are already in the legislation, they can actually they have a say on many policies that are being discussed within the legislative body, and they can assert the rights of indigenous peoples in that body. So their role mainly is actually they're already considered as councillors, or in the provincial level, board members. So they are technically one of the legislators of the legislative body in the Philippines.
Thank you. Ritini, you want to add anything?
Yes, in the context of the Cambodia, especially within the target or the Red Plus, the project that we implement, we might don't have the a kind of the indigenous representative in the national level. However, there are some of the legal framework, for example, that support the community. For example, like indigenous communal land title. There are a subdegree that support the establishment or providing the land title of the community. So there are a subdegree in that, and then those are provided by the Ministry of Land. And also, there are also another sub-degrees that supporting we call community protected area. So the community have a form and then right to manage the natural resources, and also the government support like a kind of a networking within the among the community across the countries. And those are, it depends on the contact, and in our project side is mostly we work closely with the local government as well as the national government in order to support the local community. So we know that the address of climate change is need the participation of the local community. So this Red Plus is not only address the climate change, but improve the livelihood of the community.
Thank you. I hope you can bear with me because I promised one more question. So please, this is the last question.
Hello, my name is Mitya. I'm from Dala Institute for Environment and Society. I have a question for Ms. Asami and also Cindy. I'll ask in Indonesian for Cindy. Pertanyaan saya sangat terinspirasi dengan cerita Mbak Cindy. Saya mau tanya sebagai anak muda dan juga mungkin menanyakan bagaimana teman-temannya mengajak teman-teman gitu ya untuk berpartisipasi dalam program ini. Karena saya juga dari Lombok, banyak saya melihat banyak perempuan Sasak juga yang kesulitan gitu ya climate change dan akhirnya tidak bisa bertani dan memilih menjadi pekerja migran gitu. Kemudian nelayan juga begitu gitu. Nah, kira-kira gimana sih apa yang dilakukan untuk membangun kesadaran dan juga partisipasi supaya banyak anak-anak muda seperti Mbak Cindy ikut dalam kegiatan pemberdayaan ini gitu. Also the same question I think for Sheila. about how you invite your community, young people, to involve in this empowerment, like agroforestry and the project, because I know maybe young people more, different with the older generation, and maybe they want to have like a different imagination of how to work and how to live and lifestyle. Maybe you, how are their perspective change, and how you invite them to involve more. Also for question for the Proclaim program, how to ensure the participation of local community and also the inclusiveness, because I can see that in the picture there are many like head of the government, like how to ensure the inclusivity of the Proclaim. Yeah, I think that's, thank you.
Okay, thank you. 3 questions. The first question is to Cindy. The young woman here is from Lombok, also trying to understand how they can also be inspired. Local women all around Indonesia can be inspired, to take actions, bottom-up actions, learning from experience in East Flores. Quick answer. Dalam bahasa Indonesia pun bisa.
Oke, baik, saya akan menjawab pertanyaannya. Bagaimana kita mengajak teman-teman muda juga kelompok perempuan untuk terus bergerak bersama kita. Yang pertama itu kita harus memberikan contoh, kita memulai dari diri kita sendiri agar diikuti oleh kelompok-kelompok teman-teman perempuan. Terus kalau bicara soal pangan, pangan itu dekat sekali dengan kita. Jadi bagaimana kita berkolaborasi bersama untuk terus-menerus mengolah dan memperluas pangan lokal kita agar lebih dikenal. Terus untuk mengajak teman-teman muda ini, kita harus bagaimana kita bisa mendesain agar apa yang kita lakukan itu bisa menarik atau kena betul dengan kehidupan anak muda. Jadi untuk sebuah kegiatan misalnya yang dibuat itu harus dibuat dalam penuh kegembiraan agar teman-teman muda bisa tertarik dan untuk ikut serta dalam kegiatan perkembangan terkait pangan lokal juga terkait budaya dan aksi-aksi yang pro iklim. Baik, mungkin itu saja dari saya.
Great, thank you. Terima kasih. Is what she saying is that they are trying to reach out to the young people, to inspire them to also be part of the local-based actions, and to do it in not only in a very rigid manner, but to have fun. Where youth can also participate and to contribute, but in a fun way, enjoyable. That's key from her message. Quick.
Yes, thank you for that wonderful question. And it is a reality actually, because not just in the young people in the urban areas or in non-indigenous community, but the reality that the life in the city and high-paying jobs are attractive also to indigenous youth, and we cannot blame them. But what we did actually is that, because the elders and at the same time I myself I'm also very concerned about this trend that is happening in the indigenous youth, is that what we did last August, we organized an intergenerational dialogue. And for an indigenous youth to lead an intergenerational dialogue with his or her elder is not that easy, because it would be you asking, speaking up for yourself in front of your elders. And it's really, for me, while I was facilitating the dialogue, I was trembling inside because I'm talking in front of my elders. But what we did is that we introduced the history of our community to the young people, and we told them that this is the legacy of our community, and it's up to us now because the pen is in our hands. And how are we going to write our story when our elders did this already in the past 50, more than 100 years ago? How are we going to write it now that we have land security, now that we have education, now that we are in positions that are very influential also? So the response from the youth is that it's very positive. They were shocked to know more of their history, and they were very proud of the heritage of what our elders have done. And many of them are very convinced to really continue the legacy and to continue and taking care of the land and not leaving, or if there would be time for us to leave, still be rooted in our community. Our elders, on the other hand, shared their vision and their dreams with us. And you know what? We all share the same visions. And in that intergenerational dialogue, we all agreed to do something. We all agreed to pass down the knowledge and at the same time train one another, like a knowledge exchange, not just from the elder generation to the younger generation, but also from the younger generation to the elder generation, so that there won't be gaps or there won't be animosity between generations within the community. So that's what we've been doing in our community.
Thank you very much. Sheila is not here, so we straight away go to Dr. Wahyu or Ibu Wida to answer the last question.
Yeah, okay. Actually, the recognition of Proclaim, not only for the local government or the supporting institution, but the real action, the real actor is the community itself. So I already mentioned that we now already have 6,400 vocation registered in our system, registration system, and some of them already receive award from the ministry. Actually, it is goes to the community, not only to the local government. The local government and supporting institution act as the facilitator to enhance the local climate action in the community level. So hope it is clear. Okay.
Thank you very much. So I think we have to end here. So I've been told to sum up. I don't think I need to do any wrap up, because all the panelists have been very eloquent, very articulate. You know, I cannot say anything more than what they have said. They have shared all their experiences. They have been very candid also. And you have been very, very attentive, and I think you have absorbed all that have been shared by the panelists. I just want to end by saying that for me, myself, the take-home message for me, this is very educational. I learned a lot. One is I'm so inspired by the use of the local champion approach. I'm using it a lot in my work, and I believe that what is been done under the Proclaim, and also from what we heard from Cindy, that the local champion, he or she need not be some elected, you know, it's just coming out from the grassroots, but the local champion wants to galvanize his community. This is a very strong approach to develop community-based initiatives, including for climate change actions. Number two, I think awareness. Sometimes we forget to focus on communication. So many communities, they are not aware. Once they are aware, they can develop, they co-create all initiatives and actions. And I think a good communications plan is needed always for us to be able to cascade down the national, sub-regional level policies down to the grassroots levels. And we often forget about a good communications plan. The third one is, I think, land security is key. And this is an elephant in the room, I think. We heard that, you know, with land security, you can secure that traditional ecological knowledge is being preserved, is being used, and it can then, you know, go back to the decision-making process, whereby we can recognize local indigenous knowledge and also traditional customs and how decision-makings are made at the local level, and that can be incorporated into the formal decision-making process. And finally, I will say that when I was given the brief and I saw that only $1 out of 10 US dollars in terms of climate finance, it's not my figure, but given to me, I think it's too small for what we have heard. There's so much initiatives, there's so many lessons to be learned, and then I think we can inspire the global community network, and I think we need more funding, not 10%, at least 30% should be given to global finance on climate finance to be given to community-based actions. So with that, I would like to thank all the panelists for your excellent contribution. And also thank you, the audience, for delaying your lunch and for your questions. And I hope you can continue this conversation over lunch. Thanks to the organizers. Thank you, everyone.